All right. Good afternoon, everybody. If you're online, you can actually turn your cameras on. Um, if you don't mind, we can have a quick chat and go through some stuff and complete the semester. So feel free to turn your cameras on if you're online. So before we get started, I just want to give an update on my health situation, what happened last week. Um, some of you were here. So I don't know if you remember this, but Friday, not this Friday, but the Friday before, I had pain in my calf on my right leg, and I was told to go to ER, and um, they found I had DVT, blood clot in my leg. Well, needless to say, I was pretty much in shock. Um, don't know why, but some doctors thought that I should stay overnight in the hospital. So we ended up staying in the hospital after going to ER. They started me on blood thinners, Eliquis, and but Monday, several of my close friends are doctors, and they're like, "Yeah, you need to come back and let's do a little bit more testing just to make sure everything is okay." So Monday, I went for an X-ray. Then they thought X-ray had some stuff in it where they were not clear. They wanted me to get a CT scan of my chest. I was like, okay. Then they found very small few clots in my lungs. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They said the good part is that the clots are so small that the thinners, the treatment remains the same. There's nothing else they have to do. You have to do, which was a good part of it. And I did see my CT scan, and luckily enough, it was very small. And but I was in absolute shock, to say the least. I felt I'm a healthy individual. I keep myself fit, not the fitness I want to be at, but at least pretty decent for my age. Um, but the interesting was in the CT scan, they saw both my lungs were inflamed. So, and all my other tests, every other blood test so far at least has come out negative. So they strongly feel I had COVID, and I never had COVID, but they think it was asymptomatic COVID that has triggered the blood clots. So the very next day, they wanted me to get the echocardiogram, echo of my heart. It's like, okay. I actually wanted to get it done so that if there is any problems, just, you know, shit has hit the fan, what else, right? Bring it on. Um, Thank God, all the parameters and the size measurements were okay. And yeah, I've been in home resting, kind of working out from home, but no tutoring, anything like that. So it's been an awful 10 days for me. And yesterday was the first day I actually went out. I just couldn't sit at my home anymore. The reason I share with these things with you is always been like this with my students. I always tell everything to my students. I feel closer when I share things with them. So I don't know if you observed, the videos were posted a little bit late because I just had no energy, or not energy, I would say mood to do anything per se. So I feel okay. Um, just pray a lot and just hope that the worst is behind me, and hopefully trying to recover completely. So far, they say that I have to be on the Eliquis for next 3 to 6 months, which I'm totally fine with it. I don't have any issues with it, but it's just been a lesson that COVID can happen to you. You might have asymptomatic COVID and still have horrible reaction to it. And so my message to you guys is not so much to you, but to your parents is, if there is something unusual, go to the doctor. And they said that is the only thing they have told me so far was Thank God he went to the doctor on Friday. That's all they told me. And they said that was a turning point. So, sounds good. So, that's my, and I've never been this psyched in my life. You know, I just was been just absolutely psyched. And I think it's going to take some time for me to get out of this. Okay. Second is today's our last day. Um, Before we wrap this up, I would like to take a feel from you guys of the good things we have done, not so good things. So anything you guys want to share for a few minutes, I would like to hear from you guys. And again, just be honest with me. Again, especially this event has only given me a lot more perspective about my life than anything else. So if somebody says, Manoj, you need to do this, 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 I'll be actually the happiest person. So I can actually work on my improvement than to always hear about the good things. So yeah,
I think reviewing English really helped for me
okay,
in
good.
my ACT. So.
Good. And I know April ACT was a kind of interesting. We had some significant results, plus 8 points, plus 7 points composite. There are some students who did not improve at all. I don't know what has happened this time, but it's been a weird April results. But I did post on the Group Me app what you should be doing for the June test if you're going to take the June test. And if you're taking the test for the second time or more, and if you've not taken the ACT writing, you should sign up for the ACT writing because that's what we'll be covering today is ACT writing. Okay. Online students, could I hear from you guys? A lot of students. We have students from Chicago, California, Kansas. Um,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
go ahead,
if I'm talking about strictly like what could it improve,
please.
for me, I think more like nuanced details in like science and reading were really my issue. Like sometimes I would just have trouble understanding what was going on. And I don't know if that was because maybe I was tired and I need to do more practice tests, or if it was something I wasn't understanding. So I don't know. That's something that me myself I would like to improve on, but I don't know about other people.
No, every Garrett. One of the things and again, I said this has been 14 years of doing this program. Actually, summer I'm not doing this after a 6 years break. I'm taking a summer off, and most likely now there won't be any summer ACT prep class at New Horizon. I need to take a break now, take care of my health, go for a walk. I've been planning to golf for 40 years now, so it's high time I just start my golf and those things. So, um, but every feedback I take it seriously and I comprehend it. And I sit on that one. I was like, you know what? Why did this student say what they said? What is their perspective? What do I learn from their perspective? What can I do better? What can we as New Horizon can do better? So I think things in a different way, but every word of your feedback, there is to be a form, by the way. Start 3 years after the COVID started, we stopped all these things. We just I, I believe more of this than anything else. And I know that you guys are shy to talk about. You don't want to say something bad and hurt my feelings. I know all these things. I've been there, done that. But what I want to be honest with you is tell me things. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, because a a critical feedback is the best way. So, for example, and I usually give feedback to anything. So let me tell you what I just finished a conference in April in Chicago, and they were asking for feedback. And I did tell them that, you have 900 college presidents sitting together for one day in a conference, all 900 listening to somebody. Yes, great. But don't you think the presidents themselves can sit together and learn from each other? Can we have those sessions instead of sitting for 1.5 hours and everybody was on cell phone, by the way? If you think you guys are bad, college presidents are the worst when they are told to learn something. Every single of them like this. And I saw some of them playing, video game. Candy Crush, what is that bird thing? Angry Birds. I don't know. I don't play any sports or give video games. So I saw these things happening, and this is so why I give feedback is I want my time to be utilized better next time. And if your siblings or your friends take this class next time, they should get a little bit better than what you get. And that's how we've been progressing for 14 years. And I really believe the real progression happened for us in 2012 when we spent hours and hours on getting each and every student's feedback and correcting mistakes. And I'll tell you, this class used to be only for 7 sessions, 7 Sundays. Yes, only 7 Sundays. And there was no practice test. So if you for math was for reading, we did one practice passages, four. That's done. Then one student wrote. The content was great, but there was no practice, so it was so much dependent on me outside that I couldn't do it. So I would recommend you doubling the number of classes, and that's I still remember the student who wrote me that feedback, and then we made it into 15 Sundays. So gave him $100 cash actually for recommending that. Yeah, I give if there is game changing ideas that has impacted our revenue, our business model, our teaching model. Yeah, 100%. Thank you for them. So anything online students you wanna tell us, like what Garrett mentioned, and good can be good things too. It's not just hopefully it's not all bad things, negative things.
One thing that I feel like maybe is in the beginning of class, if there's any questions about homework to review them, because we don't really go over the homework at all. We just ask if you finish it or stuff. So not if there's any questions about that, I feel like going more into detail about that.
Ria, this has been brought to us for many, many, many times, and 2 semesters we tried. We couldn't even complete our curriculum because the whole hour was spent on homework. Once it started, and it was like, so for example, science we did almost 4 practice tests with you guys on an average, 4. That semester we did only 1. I'm not saying that asking homework questions in the classroom is a bad idea. It's just it takes up so much of our time. That's why in colleges, by the way, if you guys don't know this, good luck and bigger the university, good luck asking any questions to the professor because they have group discussions, TA sessions only to ask homework, not in the main classes. Here's my request and recommendation. If you have questions, contact us outside of the class. And we did. We had 3 students actually consistently contact us this time. And this is the highest we ever had. And they did ask us, hey, Manoj, could you do this question? So if it was math, I did it, solved the problem, sent it back. If it was science, I did it, sent it back. If it was English, I sent the question to Ryan. So I understand your comment, Ria, and I have spent a lot of time pondering about this. But because of strictly on time basis, we had stopped doing that. And that was last time we did this was in 2015. But thank you for your idea though, because this has been shared with us. Maybe I need to revisit that and see what else can we do better. Oh, by the way, we also did one thing. We started the class 15 minutes early for students to come and ask questions. Nobody came. So we tried that. So I forgot to in 2016. Good. Okay, now everybody needs to answer this, okay? On a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. You can use some fractions, irrational numbers if you want. How do you rate this class? Your class, the regular or advanced? I just need a number and if you have any comments. So let me start with online students. Lucas.
I'd probably say 7 because I feel like I got a lot out of it and it did help me really a lot. But I feel like there's still some parts where I didn't understand it fully, which could have been on my part too. And So
Which topic?
yeah,
Which topic
that one
would you
really
recommend?
helped a lot.
Which topic did you say you need more help, Lucas?
I would say reading probably, just because I need to work on like using my time probably,
Okay.
and some of the questions I just didn't understand with like that stuff. So
April test was a little hard for reading, by the way. So I'm expecting a June reading to be a little bit easier. We'll see. Ria?
I'd give it like an 8.5. I think it was all pretty good. The science section definitely helped a lot more because we weren't really introduced to that at school. But like Lucas said, the reading section too, just I guess getting more practice on that.
Good comment. Jay?
I would probably say like an 8 because I learned a lot of stuff, but there's some things that like it was probably on my half, but like some things I couldn't like really understand.
Huh?
But I still learned a lot of stuff.
Did we go too fast, Jay, in the class?
Not really, but
That is the one thing I hate about if somebody tells me, Manoj, you were too fast. That is the one thing I cannot do. If you say you're slow, I'm okay with that. Because if I cannot connect with the pace of the students' learning, then I'm not really understanding my students well. And I'll ask this question to almost all my random students in the past as well. Hey, did you think ever I taught fast? I never asked, did I taught good? I know where I stand, I know it exactly well. But fast and slow becomes the perspective with the students I need to adjust. Shreya?
I would give it an 8 too because I think I got a lot out of it, and I thought the reading practices were really helpful because they helped me get my time down.
Good. And again, as I said, nothing harm in saying good things, and nothing harm in saying negative things. So, like, Manoj, we had a student in summer 2017. He was very critical of our class, and he said everything was bad. This was bad, that was bad. Then I found out he only showed up for 3 out of 15 classes. So then that's the one I don't care about. So if you're here every time, and give us feedback. Constructive criticism is so important. But if you're not here and giving feedback, it's like not buying this bottle from Amazon, but making a comment on the water bottle is not fair. So, all right, Ruthie.
I would definitely rate it a 9 because after this class, I did improve my score, and I really, I appreciated all the math classes that we had because that was something that I had to improve on and did improve on that. The only thing I had a hard time keeping up with was the homework just because of current schoolwork I have right now. But overall, I improved a lot and I did enjoy this class.
Thank you. Our homework has been shifted from, we used to have 6 hours of homework to 2.5 average. Yeah, that was a comment from a parent in 2014 that, Manoj, the homework is too much. Because I believe that homework is the key component, and I didn't connect with my students correctly. So I actually sat with the parent, went through the kid's schedule, and like, oh my God, he has no time. So then I started working. So again, this is what we call constructive criticism. So that parent got a wine bottle from me, by the way, if you want to know. Cece?
I would probably rate it a 7, just because with the math portions, I feel like a lot of the time we're going over very specific math variations that I didn't see a lot in the test. We're not going over the basics. So I think probably going over like the basics or things that we learned back in just algebra or geometry would be a lot more helpful.
Cece, are you in regular or advanced class?
I'm in advanced.
Yeah. So basically, you skip the regular to advanced directly. In the regular, that's exactly what we do. So, and this is actually, I've heard this before, and that's why I always kind of tell parents and students, actually, we prefer you guys starting from regular, get our basics done. We actually start from straight lines, angles, and remember that? So, and then build to all the way to pre-calc and stuff like that. And the the way the classes have been designed is for the regular level, we want to get the math to a 28 in ACT math, and the advanced from 28 to a 36 is what the plan is. So, but I do understand that we do not cover basics in advanced because we have to cover stats, trig, pre-calc, matrices, and conic sections and stuff like that. But thank you for the feedback, though. I appreciate that. Yes.
I kind of agree with her. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that was like on the test,
Uh-huh.
it was like a lot of stuff that we didn't like learn in there. It was like stuff that I like had learned from school.
Do you know how many questions were like that?
I felt like the whole thing was like a lot of it was
Probably not the whole thing.
not the whole thing, but like a majority of it. I felt like most of it was like stuff that like the matrices and stuff like that.
Matrices we cover in advanced class.
Yeah, like I learned that at school. Like I feel like a lot of that stuff that was on the ACT, like I feel like when I took it in December,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that like we learned about in there was like more on the December test. And I
See,
feel
that's what I
like,
exactly you just answered, right? So every test is so different.
Yeah, and like what I took like this time like wasn't really like what we learned in there. It was like what I like learned in like my pre-calc class and like my calculus class.
And that's what we struggle with, to be honest, because we don't get to see the test much.
Yeah.
But what I have
agree
done,
where she's coming from.
yeah, oh, definitely understand where she's coming from. My thing is, what I've done is basically based on what ACT puts out of how the thing, they really changed in 2018. Even SAT changed quite a bit in 2018. So based on that, we have been covering the material. And I'll next for the advanced class, we never used to cover stats much. So we spent the whole hour actually on that one because we're seeing more questions on it. But you may be surprised in June, it may be all the way back to those type of questions again. So it's kind of hard for us to, see what they want. One of the things we have done quite a bit in math is to do a lot of practice tests, which we never used to do, so that people actually see the type of questions now they are seeing. But yeah, that's what I'm going to think about where she's coming from and see how the next semester we're going to change. Yep. Luke?
I'd have to give it an 8. I liked how you structured everything. Like you'd have like some time on one subject, and then you just move on to another subject in the same day, and we do that over the course. But after the classes, I think it would be beneficial if you had like a little half sheet of more problems that we could kind of use to read to make sure we understood it in the actual class. But that's me personally, to make sure that
We used to do that actually. We used to do that quite a bit. I don't know what has happened after 2018. The response from students have been so bad. We used to actually give out. We actually had a day extra, not just this class. On a Saturday, we used to have a calculator class where anybody can just come down online or face to face, where they learn about how to use the graphing calculator. We did it 4 semesters in a row. There was one student in 4 semesters that showed up. Then we stopped. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a lot of background things you may have not known, why we do certain things, why we don't. Trial and tested is the best word. But that calculator was my favorite one because Emily Volts, she was one of my tutors. She actually is the one who actually used to teach that class. And one student in 4 semesters. We have a handout actually made. Maybe I can share with you guys for each one how to use your TI-84. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
Next, Alex.
I would also say an 8 because I thought it was super helpful and my score did increase. The only thing that I didn't find super helpful was reading. Like in science and math, I liked how we went over more specific things and did problems specific to what we were talking about. Where English, we kind of just did practice tests, which were also helpful, but I think some more specific concepts would have been helpful too. But I really liked it.
Actually, funniest is Alex. Again, not trying to I know, trying to say, we actually had a student say that we are spending too much time on English. Could we shift from English and reading to math and science? Again, everybody's different, right? Everybody's different. So that's what they wanted more time to be spent on. So trying to balance this, okay? But it's good feedback so that I can use it for the next time. Zadie?
I would give it an 8.5 because it definitely helped me. And I like that we went over sort of how much time you should spend on each question. But I definitely would say it would be helpful if we did just a little more reading. It felt like we didn't do as much as we could have done.
Yeah, that's been a consistent message, by the way, consistent message. So we will be making some changes on reading. Thank you, Garrett.
Yeah. Definitely that 8-9 range. Everyone's been saying. If I was gonna say something, I would say definitely more. We focus more conceptually on problems, and I think I can best explain this with math. Where you're talking about like angles or something, and like you just need to I think what I would do is I would maybe give out some sort of homework, right? But it's like specifically focused on angles, because I know that's how I personally learn. Where if I'm going over this topic, constantly for like a period of time, I end up performing well on it. So, like if I'm learning like that here, and then I just have every concept down in that way, I think it'll be when we get to the test, you can draw from what you know from that concept, and it makes it a lot easier to answer those questions.
Okay, fair enough.
That can be also said maybe for reading as well. I think a lot of what we focus on reading is specific to that particular question. I think reading can be more like open, like how you teach it. Like it can be by concept. You can teach how you answer this question by the concept of how it's answered. But again, I wouldn't know how to teach that because I don't understand it. But I think someone would know how to teach that. So
Reading is the hardest, and if you have observed, I don't teach English and reading anymore because English I still can, but reading I just can't because reading is the hardest to teach, because either you're a good reader or you're not, right? So this is what the comparison is. Reading is like a smelling thing. You cannot teach somebody how to smell. Either you smell or you don't smell. Reading is very hard, but I think I know what you guys are saying, and I have actually been recording these things already in my notes. So there will be some changes coming up for the next semester for reading, and I think I know exactly what to tell Lauren. Okay, this is what I want you to do. A little bit change here and there. So, but again, I'm not trying to defend myself or anything. I just don't believe in it, especially lately. One of our biggest complaint from the tutors and myself, by the way, to you guys is you guys don't ask questions. When we ask, it's like, do you have anything? It's like cold, quiet. It becomes very hard for us to respond to something when there is no response from back. So asking questions makes it so much better. And I can tell you, summer 2020, the first COVID class, advanced level, I taught here, my iPads were here and there was no face-to-face students. We had the best class ever because my goodness, they asked so many questions. Not only we completed more curriculum, more questions, more homework questions, because they really were specific in their questions. And it was interesting for us too because they were challenging us all the time in a very respectful way. And I still think that's the only weakness you guys had from our side was you guys didn't ask us enough questions. And except the same students, nobody else asked anything. So, all right, now you guys, go ahead, your turn.
It's like an 8.5.
Okay.
I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel like the science, like picking the packages, helped a lot because I know like I didn't get the last passage done, but I improved on my science score.
Bingo. That's exactly what I've been trying to tell people this. People don't understand that even if you don't end up doing the most difficult passage, but if you do the first 5 well, not that I want you to do that, but still your scores will be appreciably higher because now you have banked points by picking the easy passage. One student went up by 9 points this semester, April test in science, a 21 to a 30. Put it together, 9 points in science. How many points did you go up in science?
Only like 2 or 3.
That's almost so one composite point almost. That's $4,000 scholarship average. So remember, the rule to remember is for every 2 points, it's around $10,000 increase in score. That's how you remember the scholarships. So, and we had a student who went up by 8 points, 7 points. He was actually in this class. I don't see him today. He went up by 7 composite points, 25 to a 32. In UNL, he would now be getting $133,000. So, that's a lot of money.
I get an 8 out of 10 because it helped me quite a bit, the ACT.
Did he take the April test?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he see improvement?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. April test, honestly, English, math, and science were not too bad. Reading was a little hard. This is what I've been, and I mean, it's usually fair in my analysis when people tell me this, especially math. People said last 2 questions were hard. That's how it happens every time. But probably this is one of the much easier maths I've seen. Feb was hard.
I would say 8.5. I think that really helped on like science and because it's like I didn't.
Easy to talk.
I would say like 8.5 because it really helped me on science because like how you can. I didn't know that you could like do the passages out of order. I thought you would like take it.
Yeah. And I can, she is a great example right here. And this is something that I've been telling from day one. And we have seen results, it's not just me telling it, we have seen results, 9 points, 8 points. So it just makes me feel so good that this is converting to dollars, real life dollars. So good. Your turn?
I would say an 8 because I think we could use a little more time on reading, a little bit on science because personally for me, science is like really confusing for me. So, yeah.
Reading seems to be the general message I can say. For sure.
We didn't have a lot of classes of reading. That's why it was a little bit.
We had 5 reading, 5 English.
Oh, it didn't seem like we had.
Yeah, that's exact. I am not trying to defend that, but we actually had 5 English, 5 reading. Math was, of course, the highest. It's almost every time. But yes, we actually had scheduled 6 English, 4 reading. Then we made it 5 English, 5 reading. So, yeah. And actually, one parent said, "Oh, we only did twice reading."
It just didn't feel like we did it a lot.
Yeah. No, I totally. Even I told this to Lauren. I don't feel like you have done enough of reading. She's like, "Manoj, I met 5 times." So like, oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah. So, but when she submitted the timesheet, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But I think I know what you guys are trying to tell me though on reading. I think there's a message that is clear and loud, and I think I'm going to make some changes.
7.7.
7.7, okay.
Yeah, lucky numbers. Really helped me with English, raised my ACT up.
Good, very happy.
Not at my goal where I wanted, but it's at least a start in the right direction. I kind of mostly kind of what other people said, it's just mostly on my part. And what you guys are doing is fine, it's just motivation on my part.
And I'm glad you say that because not everybody, but majority don't take the blame on themselves too. They don't take the ownership on themselves. It's all on us. Coming to class is the first step of it, right? And it's a collective effort. We teaching, you working, answering your questions. All together, you build a student's life, right? So even in college, right? You just don't depend on professors or the TAs or the GDs. You want to have your own effort as a segmented approach to your learning, right? Everybody plays a part in your success. Your parents' role, they have to pay fees for this, right? So if you take a pie chart and ask you which should be the biggest piece of the pie, it should be students doing work at home is the biggest piece in this pie chart. Second is what happens here. for ACT prep? Last.
I would have to say an 8.7.
Okay.
I believe the jump from the regular class to the advanced class really helped me out. Like, I mean, we did learn the basics, but I think in here it helped
apply.
It applied it to the actual test, and for things to work on. Reading, I mean, I agree with everyone on reading. It didn't feel like we did much with reading along compared to the other subjects where we went into more detail.
No, that's something I'll be definitely handling that. As I said, my only comment to you guys was you didn't ask questions. Online students, I would not know if you're using phones. So, but here the use of phone was very less. So I'm very appreciative of that one. Okay. So, and remember, you just because the class is done today doesn't mean you should not be contacting us. Some of my students who are doing PhDs are still contacting me. So please remember, keep my phone with you. Once you are my student, you're a student forever. It's my job to always help you and guide you. As I said, one of my first students is now a doctor in town. So they are still in contact with me. They run things by me. Like, hey Manoj, what is your take on these things? So happy to always help my students. All right, now today we're going to start with ACT writing. Go and get your notes, please. And I'll have to sit and stand a little bit, kind of combinations. Can't stand for too long, can't sit for too long. So. And also, by the way, if you feel like this class is beneficial to you, we are already registered a lot of students for fall semester. So please make sure you can tell them to register, contact me and stuff like that. So ACT writing. So if you have taken ACT at least once, starting second time, you can take your writing test. And you should actually, just to get it done. Some schools want it, some schools don't want it. It's better to be done with it. So you take a 3.5 hours test, then you get a 5 minutes break, then you get to the ACT writing, which is for 40 minutes. So you're already tired, and you are going to be more tired after this. And I can guarantee you'll be tired. ACT is graded on a 36 scale. Writing is graded on a 2 to 12 scale. With 8 being what's called CRI, College Readiness Index. That means you need to have 8 to get at least a B grade in college is what the definition is. And this is what many colleges require, an 8. And I can tell you, it's not that easy to get an 8, let me tell you that. Our highest has been 11. Nobody got a 12 so far. We had few 11s, few 10s, few 9s, and many 8s. And let me tell you the grading, how it's graded. And this time it was shocking that they got the writing score so fast. It usually takes 4 to 6 weeks after the test. But this time, God only knows what happened. So let me tell you how it is graded. So you write the essay and all those things, and it is graded by 2 ACT readers. They are called readers. And each one of them will grade from a 1 to 6 scale. So let's say a reader grades you at 3 and another grades you at 4, your score will be now 7, as an example. Okay? So let's say somebody grades you at 1, the other grades you at 4, now you have 5. If the difference between reader 1 and reader 2 is more than 2 points, this score will be cancelled and it goes to a third reader who is going to finalize the entire score, which is a 2 to 12 scale, called arbitration score. Does that make sense? So that's what it'll be, that's how it'll be graded on. 40 minutes is plenty of time, by the way. Okay, 40 minutes is plenty of time. So this is the requirement, this is how the grading happens. Now, let's imagine the testing situation. Let's say we are all ready to start the writing test. So what do you see is the question. This is what you see. There is two sections. One is the plain side called the non-gradable section. And this is where the prompt is. And I'll talk about these boxes a little bit later on. And so forth. No, more pages. This is what you call the gradable section. So far, so good? Okay. We divide the 40 minutes, and this is our strategy, into 10, 20, 10. So let's talk about the first 10 minutes. This is when the time starts, okay? Because you already know all these things. And you have to listen to this carefully because small details will make a difference in this case. When you get to this page, the one thing you have to attempt to do, if possible, is actually not see these boxes. Okay? These are called perspective boxes. So 1, 2, 3. So first point is do not read the perspective boxes. And this is a big mistake students have been doing, and after this class they have not been doing that. And I've been very intentional about this. So let me repeat. What did I say? Do not read the perspective boxes. You have to read the prompt. Read the prompt. 3 times. Three times. My logic is simple. If you cannot understand the prompt, your essay will not be of good quality. Clear understanding of what the prompt is asking. Okay? Then, you have the non-gradable section. Whatever you write here will not be graded. Good, bad, doesn't matter. Don't put any bad words, of course. Okay? Everybody is a human being. So, they'll take it in the wrong way. We have seen that happen. So, what you read, make points about your, put every thought into this page. So, thoughts, keywords, ideas, and so forth. Just jot it down. Don't say it's in my mind, because you'll be under enough stress that you will forget it when you start writing the essay, which is a 20 minutes time. If it's not here, it won't be here, let me tell you that. Because this will have to transform later on. You guys okay so far? So the first 10 minutes should basically put your thoughts together, your understanding of the prompt, the keywords, the ideas. Then, you're still in the 10 minutes. These 3 perspective boxes will have explanation in them. So let me give a real world example that was in the ACT test a few years back. Should middle school students be allowed to use social media? Okay, that was a prompt. Perspective box number 1. Yes, students should be allowed to use social media in the middle school because everybody else is using. Okay. Perspective 2. No, they shouldn't be using. It's too early to start using social media and it'll be a distraction. There's a lot of cybercrime happening. Third, depends on the parents, not on the teachers. Something like that I was talking about. Not really exactly sure what the third was. Now let me explain why you should not read it to begin with. If you read the prompt and read the perspective boxes right away, you already have a preconceived notion of what you want to write. Sounds good? Because you're getting influenced by these 3 boxes. By not seeing them, but you read your prompt, you have your own ideas and thoughts on this piece of paper. So you decide for yourself, no, this kid should not be allowed to use social media, is what I'm going to write on. Your thoughts and ideas should match with either one of those 3 perspectives. Sounds good? This should decide which perspective box, not these perspective box should not force you to write a certain way. Sounds good? So, your thoughts, ideas, hopefully, I'm going to use the word hopefully, aligns with one of the 3 boxes. If it does not align, we have a little problem because you're going to be now getting influenced by those 3 boxes. Sounds good? You have to, by the way, when you start writing the essay, so let's say you pick perspective number 1, let's say. You should write about at least one more perspective without being critical about it. Like, for example, my take is no, they should not be using social media, but I still want to talk about perspective 1. Yes, I do understand that some students or parents believe that they should have the freedom to utilize social media, which is so common nowadays. See, I didn't being negative about that, but I understand, but here are the reasons why I shouldn't. You with me on this? So saying, yes, I understand, but trying to support your own perspective is very crucial. You guys with me? Okay. And this actually applies to all of your essay writing at school, by the way. Essays writing at school is a little bit different than this one, but this is a good logic to follow. Okay. Actually, many of my students have actually commented on that it has helped them write better essays. All right. So, have you started writing the essay? No. We're still on the 10 minutes. So, in the 10 minutes, you should know what perspective to write on, what you're going to comparing with, you should know it, and you should have your ideas, the thoughts, and all those things here. That's good? Forgot to mention, as part of your practice, you must complete 1 or 2 ACT writing test and have someone grade for you. Preferably who has a better understanding of English, grammar, and all those things. And this is the another reason why we have concern why students don't do well is they don't practice this. You cannot just automatically put all these things that day without knowing how it feels before that. I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes to soak up all these things so far. Then we're gonna continue. See if you have any questions for me. Yes. Any questions? Yes.
How many times would you recommend taking the ACT writing test?
Once you get 8, you're done. 8 or higher. That's what I would do. I would never recommend this for fun. This is not a good thing. So, like, yay, today I'm taking ACT writing. I've never heard anybody do that. So, but some schools don't ask for writing scores, but still I recommend to have it with you. This just makes it easier. When you start I'm gonna give you some notes here. First of all, there's no word limit. Actually, it did not cover last time, so I want to make sure I include this time without fail. Didn't mention that. All right. So after 10 minutes is done, now we go to 20 minutes where you start writing in the gradable section. Okay? And you want to be very clear on that one. If you write anything here, it doesn't count, okay? Things you are graded on. First, ideas and analysis. That's still in the first 10 minutes you'll be doing that. That's what I was just talking about. And that will show up here, by the way. That's why you get, okay? Development and support. How are you developing your essay? And how are you supporting with examples? Examples are extremely key. How well it is organized. Organization of your essay. Is it all over the place? Does it flow from one paragraph to another paragraph? We recommend to write 5 paragraphs. Around 2 pages is what we recommend. Last one is use of language, grammar, convention. This is the 4 things you'll be graded on those 2 readers.
Is it connection or
Convention.
convention?
Mm-hmm. no cell phone language. No LOLs, TXTs, LMAO. Don't do that. It's a big, big turnoff for the readers. First, last paragraphs are crucial. Do not ever BS to fill in space. Just don't write something unnecessary. Decent handwriting requirement. If they cannot read you, your handwriting, they cannot grade you. Spelling. Oh my God, this, I cannot stress the significance of this. Spelling. Do not force yourself to use fancy words. They don't care. What they care is, are you writing for the prompt? Does it flow naturally? This is what I grade basically. When somebody sends me, of course grammar is important, but this is what I ask about the paragraphs. Does it have a flow? This is what I ask. If it's not, that's what this comes out to. If there is no flow to it, then I can't even read it because now it's scattered thoughts. So in the first 10 minutes, when you align your thoughts together, and put your ideas, connecting those pieces together like a piece of the puzzle, that's what it turns out to here.
Hello. So you'd say that it's very important that it just reads well, like when you're reading through it, it's like just very...
Exactly. Here's the thing. If I cannot read it, if I feel like I want to put it on the side, that means your score will be low. So you should force me to read it, right? By writing it, so, oh, okay. Now I'm curious to know what happens in the next paragraph. Okay? That was my next point. Build paragraph curiosity. See, again, you don't learn these things in schools because there's a different structure altogether. I want to make sure that I want to read the next paragraph. Okay, first paragraph I read it. Okay, now I want to know more about this. Okay? Humor is allowed. I know I talked about examples. I'm going to repeat it here again. Examples, examples, examples. Examples are so important. Now, let's talk about whether you have to write as your own example or as a third party. And this is something I want you to listen to this carefully. And let's take the same example of the social media. Let's say when you were a middle school and you wanted to use social media, but your parents said no to it. Now you can use your own example to write this essay, right? So you can write as you or as third party, but do not force it to be you. So for example, another prompt from the past. Should music education be a requirement for high school graduation? I don't think so. somebody who have gone through your own example, right? Right? You're in the process, so you have not. So at that time, talking about you will be kind of stupid at that time because you're trying to force yourself. But you can write as if I were to be as like third party, being very clear that it's not me talking, but this is what I would recommend to the school system. Sounds good? I had a student who had asked me this question. This is really a good question. What happens if the prompt is so complex that I do not even know what to do? Like, how does this was really hard, by the way, years back. How does climate change affect economy? At that time, it's difficult. Even for me, it will be difficult to write, even though I have a pretty fair idea. I would take the help of those perspective boxes as much as possible to write it. Again, without ever having to, and that's why the number of pages doesn't matter. This is a good example to stay with. Because remember, if you have to read 4 pages to grade, that guy is gonna get bored. Stay to the point, stay very meticulous, and they will like it. Okay? So, complex prompts use perspective help. Perspective boxes help. Very rarely this happens, by the way, rare. Because they don't want you to be in that situation. So let me tell you, I want to repeat this. This is so key because if you have a good idea and good analysis of the prompt, then you can nicely develop them and then you can support your development with examples, then organize your thoughts together so it flows well, then use of language and good grammar, good convention so that it has a good professional read to it. And this is all done in 20 minutes. And you have to have your watch and you gotta stick to that 20 minutes. The last 10 minutes, read the entire essay. If you cannot read your own essay, there's a good chance they don't want to read your essay. Correct any mistakes as you read, because you don't have time to come back. Erase clearly, because you're using pencil. If you want to erase clearly so that they should not use that against you if it's you really want to erase it. So at the end of that 40 minutes, you're looking at 5 boxes like this and so forth. This is how it should stick out. Where this is the introduction passage, a paragraph, and the last one is the conclusion paragraph. Conclusion. Because if you cannot conclude what you wrote, then it will be a problem. And this is so important, and I just can't stress enough how clearly it should flow. So these should flow like this. So that anybody who is reading the first paragraph is intrigued to read the next one. Is intrigued to read the next one. When I say humor is allowed, emotions are also allowed. And this doesn't happen that easily, by the way. That's why I said practice at least one, if not two, real ACT prompts so that you have an idea going into testing how I'm going to feel, what should I be doing, and can I balance my time 10, 20, 10. And I've seen students leave in 15 minutes. I've seen students after writing, they're done in 15 minutes because they just started writing. They just didn't even check what they wrote. And I've seen, like, if you get a, let's say, for example, a 2 or a 3 or a 4, it's a little bit concerning for a college level. Because in the college, you will end up writing significant number of papers, especially in the mass media, humanities courses, art-based electives. There's quite a bit of writing, Comp 1, Comp 1, Comp 2, oh goodness. You'll be writing a lot. And there, your class grades will start affecting if you don't follow the structure to it. At the end of the day, I can tell you, did you read the prompt and did you answer to the prompt? At the end of the day, this is what they will be looking for. And for that to happen, does it flow well? You with me on this? I can tell you if the flow is well, they will kind of let go of a little grammar mistakes. But this is not going to be something they will allow. You with me on this? So you read the first paragraph and then second paragraph has no connection to what you just wrote about. Then like, what the hell was going on? Now I have to read third to understand second. Then you lost them. And they have an average time of 60 seconds. They only spent 60 seconds on this. So do you think they spend more time on this or grammar in 60 seconds? Flow. If they can't read it, if they don't feel like reading it, then they will not read it. So make them read is my final comment. Make readers read. If you can do it, you get a good score. At least an 8, I would say. Even when I, as a college president, I end up having to read a lot of documents. Some are official documents, which are, of course, are boring. But some of this, like even, okay, the jobs we get, right? The cover letters. You know how much time I spend? Maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I get so many, I don't have time to read all these things. But I get to the point, okay, is this person conveying the message of why he or she is the candidate for this position in that quick synopsis? I've seen 3 pages. We just got a resume and a cover letter. 3 pages. What the hell? Do you think I have time to read 3 pages to understand you? If you can tell me in 1 paragraph about why you've applied and why you're the right person, no time for it. Sounds good? So even in real world, you want to be clear, crystal clear in communication. This is what you call written communication. And this is exactly why ACT is wanting you to take a writing test is, are you able to communicate in a concise, clear fashion in 40 minutes to the reader? Because that's what you're going to expect in college. When the college will prepare you for jobs. See, that's how it's built on. That's why ACT is called American College Test. They're preparing you to get at least a B. They're trying to tell you what it takes to get a B grade in college is what ACT is all about. Any questions, thoughts on this one? Does this make sense though? See, you guys don't ask questions. That's what, but if that's okay, you don't have to ask questions all the time. But I'm just saying, if there is something, just don't hold back. Online students, is there anything you wanna ask? Any other final thoughts, comments before we say goodbye? At least let me take a picture. Until you guys at least are thinking about it. At least I'll take a picture. Today I actually got a picture from, on my Facebook. I actually got a picture from 6 years back. When we started this New Horizon here in this center, I know it sends you reminders, right? Memories lane or memory, whatever it is. I was trying to count how many are there in the picture. 58 when we took this picture. So because now it's on. At that time there was no online at that time. So no questions, no comments, nothing. Well, if that is the case, I just want to wish you the very, very best for the June test. Have a great summer. It's been long, hard 2 years or 2.5 years for every single soul on this planet. Pandemic has taken a toll, now for me as well. And as I said, I've gotten a better perspective of life. And I've decided one thing is I'm going to look for good in everybody else instead of looking for negatives it doesn't matter how hard it may be sometimes. I'll look for a good in others is what I've learned in this 10 days. And I don't want to be a philosopher in my life, but that's what this 10 days I was like, you know what? What's the point? So I'm going to look for good in people. Hopefully you start looking good in others and having a big heart to pardon people if they make a mistake. I wish you the best. God bless you guys. It's been a pleasure to teach, and I complete 14 years of New Horizon of teaching ACT preps, so it feels very, very special. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.
Have a good summer.
Take care, guys.